What's up, horror fam?
You know what time it is.
And today we got a special guest.
Let's get into this. All right, so tonight we have Brandon Keenan from, he's a producer, director, actor, has a couple movies under his belt, and he's got a new movie coming out, and he's graced us with his presence, and we're going to have a decent conversation and have a good time. So, Brandon, what's up with you, man?
What's happening, guys? Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, we appreciate you being here.
Oh, for sure, yeah, man. We love this. We love talking to fellow horror heads and people who, you know, are kind of into that genre and whatnot and other things, you know. But we seem to start to get into doing interviews. We didn't originally think we were going to be doing this, but the more and more that we got in contact with people, it was something that we really like to do. And we've had horror authors on here, directors and actors, and it's pretty cool. So we're excited to have you on here.
Yeah, I'm excited to be a part of it. Any exposure, this is incredible. I mean, I'm
definitely.
On horror films and chat with you guys tonight. So let's get cracking.
Yeah.
Sweet, man.
So tell us about yourself.
Yeah.
I'm a indie filmmaker from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I started a small business back in 2006 that, was garnered towards video and film production, and I'd never really gotten into big movies yet, but as time went along, I've worked in different areas of film and video and learned inside and out some of everything from being a production assistant up to actually directing and producing my own film. Nice. And I fall in love with filmmaking. I absolutely love it. And horror films are it's kind of my forte. I love the gory, gross stuff. But yet, if someone came to me with a script that was, a romantic comedy and it was, perfect, I'd be like, let's do it. Because I love filmmaking. I'm absolutely in love with filmmaking. It's from beginning to end, from writing to actually being there on set for the first time and shooting everything and being able to see something that you wrote actually come to fruition and become like an entity is one of the most unique and coolest experiences. I can't say that enough for people that are indie filmmakers. That moment. And I remember shooting one of our films and I walked in on set. I'm like, I wrote all this and there's all these people that are a part of this. And there's all these people that are working together to make this come together. It's fantastic. It's awesome. I mean, I get goosebumps thinking about things like that because it's what keeps driving me. It's what keeps me wanting to keep making movies and seeing the effect that it has on people in a theater and seeing how people react and where people go with it as far as the emotions that it takes. It takes a toll on them and where it kind of affects them personally. So
that's awesome, man. Well,
it's like that creationist. So, that art of creating something and then seeing somebody else get joy out of it. Yeah. I never got into filming, but I'm a musician. I play in a band and, it's the same kind of thing, except it's not quite as technical or what. Well, I don't know. It's weird, but
that's something that I know I have no skills at whatsoever.
So that's it. I'll play the music. You make the movies.
Exactly. There you go. So yeah, it's cool. I remember whenever we debuted Body Farm for our premiere, and there's the beginning, the first 5 minutes of the film. I remember when I was editing everything, I'm like, I really hope that this does what I want it to do, and that is to make people hold on to the edge of their seats and go, "What the hell did I just watch?" Yeah. And I remember a cut scene right after the scene inside the medical lab. And it cut to one of the main characters in his office, and the entire theater erupted with applause, and they were cheering it. I was like, "That's
what you needed." Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, and that and that opening scene in that film is it's pretty in your face. I mean,
So, I guess I should introduce my film is Body Farm, and we did that. We started in 2015, and that's the movie that is really taught me everything about movies and film. It's kind of was my film school almost, And being that I got a chance to work with all these people that have so much knowledge and technology at their hands, made it all come to be. But yeah, the film was, as we were talking about it, I'm not sure if your fans were real familiar of what we were talking about in the first 5 minutes there, but at least heads up, the movie's called Body Farm, and that's the first 5 minutes of it are enough to turn your stomach, and that's kind of get those people that love the torture porn and the Saw films, the Hostels, the Texas Chainsaw Massacres, pull them in there, but then also keep a good story. So I just wanted to at least add that. Sorry.
Yeah, man. You're all good, man. That's what we're here to do. You know, it was funny. I was one of the guys I work with. He's really big into horror and stuff too. And I kind of told him what we were doing this week, and I'm like, yeah, I got to watch this movie before I talk to this guy because I don't want to go into this completely blind, you know. And and he was like, Body Farm. He said, isn't that like a forensic thing? And I'm like, that's exactly what it is, you know. So I mean, he picked it up pretty quick, you know. And it was funny because I watched it the other night, and today at work he kept asking me, he was like, so hey, what happened, and what, you know, because he hadn't seen it. And I'm like, dude, you just need to get on Amazon. It's, you know, I rented it on Amazon. And
well, thank you so much for that.
No problem, man. No problem.
Is get watch it. I've had a heck of a time just getting it out there and getting people to know about it. We did the Facebook advertising like crazy, and it just really didn't lead anywhere. Selling, you know, a product, you know, they say that the Facebook advertising, if you're selling a physical product that like a pair of shoes or something, that Facebook advertising is a little more garnered towards that. But I know I've fallen victim to making purchases on Facebook advertising, sponsored posts, and stuff like that. So it didn't really work out that way. So the biggest thing that for me now is just talking about it, sitting here right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Get it out there and, you know, let people witness it.
Yeah. So what's your take of the movie then? What do you think?
I liked it. You know, there were some parts in it where I was a little confused as to what was going on, but then, you know, as you go through and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. You know, and then there was it was that whole thing of, I knew where you were going with I didn't know where the story was going to lead until, you know, we got to the end, but, you know, I knew about you know, why these body farms exist and what they're actually doing there. And, you know, and there were some scenes that kind of took me off guard, you know, like one of them, and it's not even really that gory of a scene, but the scene with the woman in the trunk, you know, and your reaction to that, you know, why the hell is why, you know, that body was meant to be as fresh as you can get. She literally just been dumped in there, and, you know, you had ligature marks on her neck and things like that. And that actually was based off of what I had read in a book about one of the farms that are in Tennessee, that they left the body in the trunk of a car and left it in there for years. And then they popped it open. And there's more to it than just that, obviously. Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah. See, that's the cool thing too, is that like, kind of how JT was just talking about, kind of getting an idea about where you're going with it and trying to figure it out. Cause like, as we are like, what we call cinema heads, we're movie buffs, you know, we love video files, they call them. We like watching movies, and you kind of get a sense of, okay, where is he going to go with it, and see if we can see where you're going. And if it twists, then that's awesome. Cause it's like, you threw that in there. Okay. And that's something that, for me, as a movie lover, when we get to talk to directors like you and producers and actors, we get to kind of show our listeners and everyone else who you are, not only as a director, but just as a person, what got you into doing film and, you know, stuff like that. So, I got a question for you. We kind of ask this to everybody.
Yeah, go for it.
What's your favorite horror movie?
Favorite horror movie?
Say Body Farm. Say Body Farm.
No, don't say that.
No. Oh yeah, I got you.
No, I love Saw because there's just it to me, the first film, it works on such a low budget, and it captures the emotions, and it captures a good story. Yeah, Jigsaw is a very demented and sick individual, but his message, in my opinion, is righteous. People don't appreciate life. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you can play God, because his biggest thing is I've never killed anybody. Well, putting a gun to somebody's head and making them pull the trigger is still considered murder.
Right.
I like the idea of tugging on the heartstrings a little, tugging on that, making you start thinking about things. And then, of course, you have Tobin Bell, who is just fantastic. I mean,
he's phenomenal in anything he does.
Yeah, any movie that he's in, I mean, it's the way he delivers. And actually, my co-director, Nick Lamantia, has worked with him before on a movie called a show called Kill Point. And he said he's just in character. I mean, that's just him. Like it's the way he is. And he's an incredible actor. He's got an unbelievable amount of skill. I hope and pray one day that I could work with someone like him, because it's just, he makes you better as a person, makes you better as a director and as a filmmaker.
Yeah. You keep doing what you're doing, man, and it'll happen.
I appreciate that. That's the plan. Just to keep running along, and keep making new contacts, learning from people, and take every single opportunity as a blessing. And if you continue to do that, I feel like good things can come to you if you're good to people. As cliche as it might sound, one of the things in Saw, he says, good doesn't lead to good nor bad to bad. But I don't necessarily think that. I believe that, I'm that kind of person that I want to teach people everything that I know, but I also want to learn as much as humanly possible from everyone.
Right.
I didn't know what a China ball was, and I said that in one of my other podcasts that I was talking with a guy. I didn't even know what a China ball was until we started filming, and they started showing me and breaking everything down. There I am as a producer, and I'm like half lost. I'm like, I don't know what the heck you guys are, like the one scene, the camera's directly up overhead, and they built these huge field goal posts directly over top of the medical bed. And as they're putting all this together, I'm like, whoa, I'm like, what are we doing right now? Like, what is all this, and is it necessary? And by the time we were ready to film, I'm looking at the monitor and I'm going, okay, it makes sense now. So
yeah,
it's a constant learning experience.
Yeah, speaking like what you're talking about, how you were saying, I'm big on karma myself. I believe that you put out good vibes, and that's what you're going to have around you,
Yeah, it bites him in the ass every day.
Hey, I'm always going to be happy though. But treating people right, and just and then also, like you said, just keep going with it. Like we've been doing this podcast for about 2 years, a little over 2 years, a little over 2 years, and we're talking to you now. And I know that you're kind of looking at, I'm talking to you guys, on a podcast. But for us too, as fans, it's just really cool to keep pushing. And now we're talking to you. We've talked to, like I told you before, we've talked to UK directors and actors, people who write horror novels and things like that. And what's cool about it is like we have a friend of ours who writes horror novels that we met on the podcast.
Yeah.
And, he is looking to like put his horror novels on things. So I'm like, well, we're making connections. So it's like a constant weave of just people who can put themselves out there.
That's it, Brandon. We're sending you a book. You're going to make a movie out of it. No.
You're good.
Yeah, it is. It's about networking and getting to know people. And, you guys, having had a show now for 2 years, the fact that you guys even are willing to chat with me a little bit more and had a chance to watch the movie. That's, again, the hardest part is getting people to watch it.
Yeah.
Even people that are my friends, I'm like, hey, have you checked out my movie yet? Oh, yeah, I'm going to get to it. Like, I get it. Things going on in our life. There's even a couple of guys that have worked on the movie that haven't seen it yet. Everyone. I'm like, it
happens.
It happens, and that's okay.
I don't think my wife's ever listened to one of our shows. So she's like, nah, I know better.
Yeah. I guess this is all part of the filmmaking process. We were happening. It actually benefited us when COVID first happened because people couldn't leave our house. And, we just promoted on Facebook. And, we made a decent amount of money in the first month. But that went down because we weren't able to market it. We just didn't have
Right.
We spent everything we had on making the movie. And then when we were done, we were like, okay, well, we made the movie. We did all the film festivals. We spent all that money. And we're like, well now what do we do? I mean, we got it distributed through an aggregator, which is pretty much, in my opinion, that if you can't get someone to pick it up for distribution, you go with an aggregator as almost a self-distribution, the DIY.
Okay.
And we did that, and we got into DirecTV, into Dish, Xfinity, and Amazon, Google Play, Microsoft, Apple TV, and there's one other one in there I can't remember. This is terrible. I should know that. But we got into all of those, and it's been received fairly well. You're going to get some negatives. It's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And there's part of me that almost wants to hear it sometimes. Like, there's things that I don't like about my own film, but it's getting it out there, getting people to see it. On this being on the show right now is my opportunity.
Yeah, and it's like you said, I've always been told that if you don't have any haters, you're not doing anything.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So, and my thing is that, and I teach this to my sons, everything's a learning experience. You don't ever lose, you learn. It's a lesson, and so if you're not doing nothing, then you ain't going to then there's no, I don't know. It's like you kind of said when you first started this conversation, you said that you're passionate about it.
Right.
And that's the same way that we are with our podcast and talking to people like you and watching the movies you guys make and all this. We're passionate about it. If you're passionate about something, then you're real and people see that. And it may take a minute, but you know what? You keep going, you keep putting that passion out there. Eventually it's going to hit and people are going to see that, and that's something that I wanted to do once we started talking to people and having like interviews with people, really conversations. I kind of was like, okay, as a fan, I want to get to know these guys and gals. I want to get to know them and see what makes them tick and the passion they put out there, and give them a chance to get people to know them, And I think that's what's cool about doing this is
that's what it's all about, and I really do. That's again, I keep saying it, it's just to get it out to people, get people to watch it. You've had a chance to take a look at it, and getting people's feedback, hearing what they think, what they feel, what their emotions are, and what all those things are so important to me. And the next topic was the sequel that has been written for this. Obviously with the ending, it kind of leaves it open. Not to
yes.
show here because we want people to watch the film.
Exactly.
But, the sequel though would open up an even bigger window. Obviously we were limited on our budget because we were spending our own money. And there was even a couple of days where we couldn't even shoot because I looked at Nick and I was like, I just don't have it. Like I don't have the money in my account. I just can't do it. And when you're spending $3,000 or $4,000 a day on shooting, it started becoming a difference of like, okay, can I eat this month? Like, am I going to
right.
So that's why it took us 2.5 years to make the movie though. We had some issues with continuity with the length of hair and a couple of them, I gained easily I went from 245 to 265 several times in the film. Yeah. There's points where you can tell my face is a lot fatter right now.
Puffier, yeah.
Right now I'm about the 255 range, so I'm getting close to fat, puffy cheeks. But
I feel you.
Yeah, a couple seasons, you can kind of tell as I go into the next door, and not to try to give away any secrets, but yeah, you those are the parts though of indie filmmaking that you learn. They're growing pains, and I encourage people that are indie filmmakers. You don't have to have millions of dollars to make a movie. I'm proof of that. It's not, if you want to make a movie and you're passionate and you love it, you don't have to have tons of money or even other people's money to make a movie. You can pick up a camera and do your thing. There's people that are making millions of dollars right now using a cell phone. So you can be a filmmaker and not have those big budgets. And everybody's always thinking, I know the high, $4, $5, $10 million, and you put all these big name actors in it, and that would be great. Listen, I wish Body Farm would have had it.
Yeah.
But in doing that though, I know that there are other people that I would have to hire to handle that kind of a territory when it comes to filmmaking. Mm-hmm. That's the big area to go to that I want to get there and I want to learn it. But it's not going to happen overnight. And I'm going to try my damnedest to keep on working to that. But I encourage indie filmmakers, just write, just pick up a pen and paper, just write, start writing, start jotting things down. And that's how I start every script. I start with just jotting down things. I have on my cell phone alone, there's a little note thing that has, I think it's probably about 30 pages total and just things that I've jotted down, like different gross gadgets. If somebody picked it up and read it though, they'd probably think I'm a crazy bastard. there's things in there though that like you think about, and then like you start plugging together an outline from that, and then you make the script itself, and you just all you gotta do is pick up a pen and paper and get cracking. Do some research.
You know, speaking of that, there's a perfect example in the horror world when you talk about that. It's a movie that everyone knows and loves, and it's a cult classic, and it was made on a very cheap budget, and it's a little movie called Evil Dead.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And now it's a cult classic, and I mean, that's a staple in people's house. You know, I mean, and they didn't have a huge budget. As a matter of fact, that was a college project.
Yeah.
You know,
that's all it takes. You know, you get some guys that are smart filmmakers that want to put something together. You know, I mean, the movie Blair Witch, which I know that always seems to come about because it was made for no money, but if you have an idea, there's ways that you can do things, and you can make things work. We shot our entire movie on a Canon 6D, and anybody that knows cameras, that's a lower end camera, but that's all we had to work with. But with the right lenses and the right lighting, we made it work. I mean, technically the movie probably should have been more like around the $200,000 range, but it was significantly less than that because people were like, look, Brandon, we just want to help. We want to be a part of your team.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
It's incredible when people are like, it doesn't even matter what the money is, Brandon. I really want to be a part of this. It's so much fun last time we shot.
Yeah, wow. See, and that's the point, man. You know, and that's like even for us, you know, we're working on our podcast, and we're doing other things that on the side and stuff like that have to do with our name, our brand, you know, the Horror Chronicles. But you know, you're helping us and we're helping you, and down the road, you know, I mean, you're always welcome when you got a movie coming out or something you're doing and you want to promote, get a hold of us. And, you know, we get you on here, and that's my point. There's no reason why everyone can't just help everyone out. But, you know, it's like we said, good vibes, man. Keep on keeping that good stuff going around and keep it out there. And then, so I got a question for you. Who are the directors that you look up to? As far as,
you know, I will, the older directors, like Scorsese's always going to be,
it's Scorsese.
People like him, Quentin Tarantino, guys that were pioneers. They set the tone. They set the boundaries. I mean, I've read books and stuff too that hearing about how they got to where they were is unbelievable. You know, and I have respect for guys like Michael Bay and Steven Spielberg too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
There's something, I guess, about, you know, Scorsese and guys like Tarantino and hearing about where they started, and maybe it's because I haven't done enough research on the other ones, but I just love that, how they just worked their way up, and they just kept working hard, and they had passion and you know, probably drugs, but you know, it all it all came together and built up a great film career.
Same thing with rock music.
So, you know, guys like that, and one of my favorite writers is Leigh Whannell. He's the writer for the Saw series, and he directed Invisible Man, and I mean, he's incredible. And I'm sure he had a good group of people around him too. And he's a genuinely nice person from when I met him, and from when I've just seen from his social media and stuff. He's responded to a few of my messages, and, you know, congratulating me on getting Body Farm made. And those are the people, I guess I look up to, the people that I feel like are good people, and they work their way up the right way.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. You talk about Leigh Whannell, you know, I mean, the guy, you know, I mean, he was part of the Conjuring series, and, you know, I mean, look at all the stuff that this guy has done. I mean, you know, and some of that, I mean, he worked with James Wan,
who, if you haven't, James Wan to us is like, he saved horror.
Yeah.
He's
incredible. And that's not discrediting James Wan either. Don't get me wrong. I just, for whatever reasons, Leigh Whannell was like the one guy that I always just like felt a connection to him, and as far as his writing was concerned, and the kind of he was. And, you know, James Wan, I didn't do as much research on him. I feel like he got elevated. He elevated himself pretty quickly and got himself in with a lot of the big films, and that's amazing. You know, like I said, I admire that, and I look up to that. You know, seeing Leigh Whannell, you know, doing The Invisible Man, I was like, yeah, wow, he did it. You know, he got it done. I would assume that he's living a pretty good life as a filmmaker, and, you know, now he can probably choose the projects that he wants.
He could. I was really shocked whenever he took the helm of the Invisible Man, and I mean, he did a fantastic job with it too. You know, I mean, because that is a AAA movie.
Well, that movie, on a lot of the podcasts that we know and we follow, we talk to, they do a lot of like top 20, top 10 movies of the years and this and that, and that's on everybody's top 5.
Yeah,
everybody's top 5. And it's up there, like up to like the 1s and 2s of theirs.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that's because of the writing, the production, the cinematography of it. I mean, it was just all around it, a good movie.
Yeah.
So back to Body Farm here.
To go back. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. We don't want to cut you off, man.
Oh, no. That's okay. No, as far as Body Farm is concerned, so I'll give you a little quick story on it, on how it all came to be. I was, when I first started my business, I was doing a video deposition downtown, and I had somebody come in before it even started, and they're like, "Hey, you're into like writing and stuff." I'm like, "Yeah, I love to write scripts. I was just starting to get into it and like learning a little more about it." And, I bought this book called The Screenwriter's Bible to teach you all the things on writing a script. And she says to me, she's like, "Have you ever heard of a body farm?" And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, is this like some sort of like, lore of like, there's this place where, they grow bodies or something.
Yeah.
No. They're real. They study human decomposition. And I'm like, immediately I stop and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, run this by me again. So she starts telling me about it. She's like, you should just research it. I'm like, yeah, sure. Why not? So I start researching it and I see some of the photos, and I can handle graphic images pretty well. I've worked with some mortuary schools and stuff, and it doesn't really bother me, but it does intrigue me. And I couldn't believe that what they were doing with these bodies, and although as grotesque and disturbing and nasty as it was, they were really using it to study for forensics. And I was like, wow, it's incredible. And like, if you look at what these bodies look like, I mean, it's brutal. It's really, but I'm like, okay, like I could do something with this. I can make this into something. Just, as a writer, I'm like, I'm just going to write this script. So I started thinking to myself, like, well, how can I put it all together and make this into a script, but, give it a good story? How do you go about doing that? I'm like, well, if I were going to do anything with it, I'd want to go do a documentary on it. Like, well, we'll make a group of filmmakers that go to this body farm, and then it starts to unravel in front of them.
Yeah.
And so I wrote the script, and it sat on a shelf from 2007 until 2015. And we decided, I pulled it off the shelf, and I said, I just want to make the first 12 pages to see if I can get investors to buy into do it, fund the whole thing, which I didn't have any plan for investors. I was just using that, I guess, as a, it's saying, because I wanted to make a movie. So we make the first 12 pages, and I, get a bunch of my friends and stuff. And I'm like, hey, you're going to play this character. And one guy's like, well, Brandon, you should just play the main character since you wrote it. I'm like, well, you know what? we're just doing the first 12 pages. Why not? We'll just do that. So we do the first 12 pages, and all of a sudden Nick looks at me and he goes, let's just finish this. Let's do this. He's like, we don't have a time frame. We'll just do this. And I'm like, all right, F it. Let's just do it. So we just started shooting more and more and more and doing different scenes. And then all of a sudden we're like, okay, we actually have something here. Let's finish this movie. And we just basically, for over 2.5 years, we finished filming. And our last day of shooting, we both looked at each other. We're like, we did it. We just made a movie. And then we drank Crown Royal, and it was awesome.
Yeah. You looked at each other and like, what the hell did we just do?
is really low, but we made a movie. We did something. The movie gets made, we finish it, and I edited the whole thing. And I was editing while we were filming too. So and we went. The people that we worked with, a lot of them, like they kept getting their craft kept getting better and better. Like our sound guy Dave Major, who now works in Atlanta on a bunch of big movies. He basically started out. He goes, "I'll do the whole thing for," I think he said $300. And I was like,
"Wow,
you're talking 18 days of shooting?" He's like, "Yeah." And after the first day, I looked and I go, you're probably going to want a little more money than that. Okay, good, thanks. Like, over time, he got better. He got new equipment, and like we just started getting better and better and better as filmmakers. And finished the movie off. I hire Mikey Ruckus as my composer, who is the composer for All Elite Wrestling. He works for them now, and he's super, super busy now, and it's awesome. I actually watched an episode not long ago, but he does a bunch of great work for them. And he composed the score for me. And once we were finished, we did our premiere at the Oaks Theater here in it's near Pittsburgh. It's called Oakmont. And it's this beautiful theater. They just redid the whole thing. And it's kind of like, it has that old school feel of a theater to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember right before we were about to show it to the audience, and we had like almost like 300, it was like 310 people or something like that there. And they looked at me like, well, you have to go up and say something. I'm like, what? Like, you have to go up and say something to your audience. I'm like, I look at Nick. Nick's like, "Don't do a shot." I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." We rip shots of Crown, and we go straight down there. And there I am in a full tuxedo, and I'm walking up the stage and realize that the shoes that I'm wearing have no grip whatsoever. So I'm like trying my best to almost climb like gorilla style up. We get up there, and I looked around, and the lights are so bright that I can't see really anything, and it was for the best. But I will say that knowing that all of those people that were my cast, my crew, my friends, and my family there to support me, and this was the first time I ever got to show a movie, it's the most rewarding feeling in the world. To know that all these people around you support you and are there for you, and they all are making this happen. You know, I'm just one guy. I'm only as good as the crew around me. And we all made it happen, and that's when it was born, basically. And then we took it from there, and we did the film festival circuit. We won, I know it was like 30 plus submission or like acceptances and then awards. So we won like best screenplay and best made in Pennsylvania for the Pittsburgh Film Festival. And there's a bunch of different ones, and I have a couple of them. There's one over here in my office, and I have one in my kitchen as well. But it's really awesome, though, to start traveling around and meeting other filmmakers and doing those things. And then we got the distribution put into place, and now it's worldwide, and we just have to kind of sit back and talk about it. And so
That's awesome.
That's cool. That's cool.
Oh, yeah, man.
So who did the effects for this?
The special effects were a couple of people. We had someone from Tom Savini School that did it.
Nice.
My guy, Michael Williams, who now lives in Seattle, he did a lot of the gore in the special effects and things. So like, I'm not giving away too much, but there's a gunshot scene where we had one take and one take only. And Mike put together an apparatus that we had one take with it, and he nailed it. And I'll never forget, while we're all shooting, there's probably about 12 of us standing around the subject. And Nick finally yells, "Cut." And the actor sits up and looks, he goes, "Did it work?" And we're like, oh my God, because we had no game. Nick says he had a plan for it, but there was no plan, because we would have had to have scrubbed down that wall and redid the whole thing. It would have taken another day of production. There's just no way.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So Michael Williams, though, was kudos to him. The guy is actually a physicist, super smart. Anything he touches art-wise, he's just amazing at it. He's amazing. I have so much of his artwork even in my office here. He's just one of a kind.
That's
Absolutely.
cool. Yeah, the whole, I don't want to give too much away of the film, but like even at the very beginning, that gooey dump into the bucket, it was just like
Yeah, so that's her name's Rachel Chaboy. She's she trained at the at Tom Savini School, Douglas School. I remember when I called her, I'm like, "Hey, are you available to this?" She's like, "Yeah, sure." So she showed up with all these organs, and like, I mean, it was pretty gross. So our actress Jenna Weiss was a real trooper. She had to lay on that steel table for a very, very long time.
Yeah, I bet.
See, that's cool. Just to be able to work with someone who's gone to like the Tom Savini School. Savini is to us the man.
I mean, way up there.
Yeah, he's again a pioneer. In Arrow that trained with him, and like there's just an unbelievable amount of talent out there in the city of Pittsburgh here. I mean, those students get to learn firsthand what he basically set, where he set the bar, and they've got a lot of skills to understand it, and they're passionate about it. Everyone I've worked with has been great.
Yeah, that's it's crazy because I've always just being a fan of movies and stuff like that, especially horror movies. Phantasm, one of my favorites of all time.
Obituary. Oh no,
that's a band. No, but I've always oh, this would be a cool idea for a movie. and then it just never gets done. And I often ask myself, I'm like, man, I should just write something down and just write it and go with it. And if something happens of it, it does. And if not, at least I have it written down somewhere. And like you said, down the road, you may bring that back out and dust it off and be like, hey, I might be able to do something with this, you know? So, and what that was getting to was if, you know, or should I say when down the road you become bigger and you have more, you know, more of a established name and power, you think you might ever try to redo it? Because we talk about how we love, there's some B-rated movies that would be awesome if they had more money for what they need to make it, you know, really pop.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider redoing this one down the road if you guys get the?
Yeah, I'd consider it. You know, because nothing will ever change what we did so far.
Oh yeah.
Right. Oh
yeah.
no. And that's not really what he's getting at. I mean, without you know.
I mean, if the money were right and somebody came to me and said, you know, we want to remake Body Farm with a different cast, and I'm open to it because filmmaking is filmmaking. Even with that, if all I would ask is, can I be a part of this? Can I?
Oh,
100%,
yeah. Absolutely. Well, and the script is, you know, the script is really good for this movie. I mean, it's not like it needs to be rewritten or anything.
No. I often I think of things, but then again, we talk about this all the time with us about remakes. Cause like I said, like a movie I mentioned earlier, Evil Dead, you know, that original movie is just so freaking good, you know, but the remake was great.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the remake of that or not, of Evil Dead.
No, I have not.
Oh man, it's killer. It's a good one.
I just put two and two together. He's from Pittsburgh.
Night of the Living Dead. I'm actually the zombie capital of America.
That's what I was gonna say.
I'm right here in Monroe.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm a huge zombie fan, man. I'm a zombie movie freaking I love zombie movies.
Well, that's where Dawn of the Dead came from. Was Pittsburgh.
You got Night of the Living Dead, but there's, you know, Land of the Dead was another one that I was like, this is great. This is awesome. I mean, the idea of zombies to me, and a lot of people get angry about, well, zombies are not supposed to be able to run. I'm like, yeah, but you can do so many different genres of zombies, in my opinion. You've got 28 days later and 28 weeks later.
Yeah.
Where they just all of a sudden, one sees you and the look on their face, and then they just beeline, and they have an ungodly amount of energy to be able to track you down.
Right.
I love that too. There's many different, like I said, there's genres to me of zombie movies. There's
well, that's like when they did the remake of Dawn of the Dead. You know, you know, all of a sudden you got these zombies running full force, and it throws you back in your seat. You're like, holy shit! Wait a minute, they're not supposed to move that fast.
You can imagine though, if all of a sudden you come around a bend and there's 25 zombies at full speed.
Right.
You know, and what's the what do you?
I'm gonna die because I'm too fat to get away from them.
Yeah. Zombieland.
Zombieland.
It's hilarious. You know, it's so well.
Yeah.
You know, I just there's so many different ones out there, and it again, filmmaking. That's the beauty of it. You can make it whatever it is you want it to make. You know, and then there's gonna be people that hate it and people that love it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And like I said before, man, if you ain't got haters, you're not doing anything. So it doesn't matter, you know? What we call it, I guess not really guilty pleasure, but what movie do you go back to watch whenever you're like, I need to watch something that's, you know, bring me back nostalgia wise, you know, something you watched to bring you back when you were younger. Oh man, here we go.
That count?
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. Ghostbusters is my, it'll always be that feeling of knowing exactly where I was as a child when I would watch. Like my mom would go into grandma's house, and when I was a kid, she just would sit me on the couch there and press the play on the VCR, and I'm watching Ghostbusters, and it was recorded off of HBO. So nice. I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, to me, that movie, it brings back all the same feels inside that I had as a kid, to the point that I even have a toy room upstairs in my house that is dedicated to just my toys. And I've got a full-size proton pack, a full-size slime blower, all the gadgets and everything. I mean, like, I'm just a diehard sci-fi junkie, and that's
awesome.
That movie takes me back every time. I just watched it with my niece not that long ago. Same thing. It's always there. It's always in your heart.
It makes you feel like a kid again.
Yeah, man. That's like with the Phantasm.
Yeah.
With Phantasm, for me, you know, that's a movie that my mom loved. And she wasn't a big horror movie fan, but she loved that movie for some reason. She's the one that originally let me watch it and stuff. And now all I got to do is hear the intro music. All you got to do is hear that theme song, man. And it just
pulls you right in. Yep.
Right back to when you were younger. And that's a great thing. I think that's what, and we talked about that a lot, you know, like John Carpenter. Yeah. Carpenter's the man at like just he can bring you into a movie with just the music. That's it. All it takes.
And Carpenter's another one that did a whole lot with a little bit of money.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Halloween was as low budget as you could get, you know. I think he filmed that entire movie for $250,000. You know.
I do anything kind of money to make a movie.
Yeah.
2020, what year is it?
But yeah, you know, that was 1978. You know, I mean, so that was probably like $1 million now.
Yeah.
You know? But so we kind of got off the path here. So where are you at with the new movie?
So the new film, everyone's asking me questions about it, but there's not. I don't want to give away too much, but the sequel has been written, but it's fresh. It's not. You don't have to see the first film to see the second film.
Okay.
So if you introduce a big budget and a couple of big actors to it, it won't affect anything as far as the first film. You don't need to be like, I have to see this to understand where the second one is going. It's titled Decompose instead of Body Farm 2.
Right.
So what I kind of want it to be is its own entity. Kind of like how Rob Zombie did 3 from Hell and Devil's Rejects, as you know, from
right.
So I kind of took that approach to it. Was kind of like, let's just make this fresh and kind of a different style. Let myself expand more as a filmmaker and as a writer. I wrote this time without a budget in mind, you know, so like there's some parts and pieces to it that will probably cost a lot of money. There's a lot of special effects that are going to be needed for it. And not things that are like special effects that are all physical special effects. Nothing that, you know, I'm not doing any CGI. I'm not a green screen guy really. There's a little bit in Body Farm, but not much.
Right.
I like it to be as real as possible. And I want it to feel like it could really happen, because for me, that's the scariest part of horror films, is feeling like that could really happen.
Right.
And in Body Farm, I got the idea of that from things that were actually happening in China, and they were harvesting organs from people in China.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is terrifying. The fact that, you know, you're just sitting there like in a cell and just waiting, you know, I mean, I've always felt like the movie Hostel was another one. It was just like, oh my God, it's just on so many levels, because I feel like it could actually happen.
Yeah, sometimes people can be the scariest thing out there.
Right.
You know, like you said, with the organ harvesting, man, that's crazy. And I know I heard stories, news reports and stuff that happened. You can probably look it up too, but there's actual hospitals in the U.S. that caught. I think it was in Texas. They got this a while back, years and years back, but they got caught if you had like the donor card on the back of your license. If they could make a lot of money off your organs, if you weren't too bad, they might let you die. They got caught letting people die and sell their organ.
I heard about that one in Texas, and Nick actually texted me and goes, apparently our script isn't that far-fetched.
Yeah.
And I find out that this guy had a body inside of his facility that were parts of different people just up on the wall. And I'm like, that's pretty disturbing, like made up as a full body. And I'm like, thinking to myself, and he was selling parts and pieces on the market, because body brokers are real.
Yeah.
You know, and you can, the people that have donated their bodies and things like that, they're worth a lot of money. You know, a cadaver tendon, you know, can sell for X amount of dollars. The idea though of a live kidney for somebody that's a very rare blood type, what's it worth for somebody that's on a waiting list that can't get that kidney? What's it worth for them to pay for that? It can happen, and that's terrifying to me. The idea that it stimulates those ideas and feelings inside of yourself.
What was that Jude Law movie where, remember, they were repossessing?
Repo Man.
Repo Man. Yeah. They were repossessing body parts.
Organs, or yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That was insane. But yeah, you're right. It's that real life stuff that happens, you know. You mentioned Saw earlier. My wife, I've been into horror all my life. I tend to like the supernatural stuff. I like the ghost stories and stuff like that. My wife is not as big into horror as I am. Now, she'll watch it with me. She doesn't have a problem with it. But the movies that freak her out are movies like Saw, where that shit could really happen. I remember when we watched that movie, we had just started dating. And when we watched that movie, she made me get up and check all the windows in the house and make sure that they were locked.
There wasn't a guy with a pig head out, a pig mask on, waiting out there for you.
Because that shit can happen.
Yeah, and that's that's the scariest thing, and you're right on that. The scariest thing is something that it's hard to believe that another human could do that to someone.
Yeah, and I've really been kicking the idea around doing a true crime podcast, starting one here in the city of Pittsburgh. There's a lot of it's very odd, and I don't want to step on toes though either, because these are people that had their families care about them and they worry about them, but they go missing,
right?
And they end up coming up in the rivers and miles and miles and miles away, and we're talking 2 or 3 months down the road. And there's where I'm like, I want to do that podcast. And, I really want to talk to some of these people, but you have to remember, these are people with their family members and friends that care about these people. And I'm like, it's very true and very real. And again, I think I guess my point of this is that I take some of these, you see these documentaries on serial killers and stuff, and I studied up on them long before I started writing Body Farm, because I needed to know what to go off of to create these characters. And it's terrifying to me that this does happen in our world.
Well, I can tell you that that's a great genre of a podcast for you to do if you're interested in it, because I'm huge in the podcast world. As far as I work for a delivery company, so I get to listen to podcasts for 12 hours a day while I'm delivering and driving. So I listen to a lot of podcasts, and true crime podcasts are huge. I mean, they get great numbers. And it's funny because you hear this often. Women are into true crime and murder stuff.
They are. Something there. I know my girlfriend's real into it. She enjoys watching a lot of these documentaries and listening to podcasts and stuff too. Yeah, she got me hooked on the first podcast ever. Was Dirty John, and I'm starting to listen. Like, this guy's voice that's telling the story. I'm like, he's good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm getting into the story and listening to it, and he's interviewing the lady that was involved with it, and I'm like, wow. And podcasts really started picking up a lot more, and they're very, very popular now. And
it's a big business now.
Yeah, man. And you could do it and as long as you're passionate about what you're doing, people are going to hear that. And the more you put into something, the more passionate you are, like you are with movies and directing and everything. Right. People see that, and they see that you're putting passion into it, and it's real, and people like real, that's like with this podcast. I was like, I don't ever want to change who we are,
right.
And once we started interviewing people, I'm like, man, I really like this. I like the direction we go with this and things. And it just felt cool to be able to talk to someone. I know it sounds stupid because it's like, oh, well, you're just having a conversation. But to me, you get to learn more about someone just through having a conversation with them, make them feel comfortable and say, hey, man, there's no judging here. You talk about, just talk,
talk about whatever you want,
That's just a conversation. I feel like you feel more comfortable. I feel more, at ease, I guess, with it. Sometimes when you go into it with a whole slew of questions, sometimes you second guess yourself more.
Right.
With this, it's just kind of what I'm feeling and how, I had no idea I was going to mention the Pittsburgh true crime thing, but it's something my girlfriend and I have been discussing. We want to sit down. I have all the equipment to do it. I mean, I have a video company, so I'm like, I got all this recording equipment. I can do it for nothing now. But, these are the things, though, that I have really, with my film career, have really considered moving into in different areas of video and audio as well. With Body Farm, ultimately, my goal one day is to be able to make a movie a year. whether that is a documentary or a feature film. I want to, you know, a feature narrative, or like, I truly do want to work in movies, and I'd like to do it at the right way. And I don't want to put the screws to anybody. Like, I've heard some terrible, terrible stories in film about people getting their money taken and they're gone. You know, I mean, it happened. And that happens in all different types of business. But
correct.
With Decompose, I'm working on that. The truth is if that's going to happen, there's going to need to be somebody that's willing to take the risk of putting money into it and, you know, taking that plunge. The amount of money it would take to make the movie is significant, but with film, you know, about to be restarted or rebooted almost, it's going to take off in the next 2 or 3 years, and there's going to be money to make. There's going to be more platforms out there. There's going to be more than just Netflix. There's more than Hulu. I mean, there's going to be more stuff happening and more ways to get your movie in front of people. You know, I know Shudder's one that I reached out to them and haven't ever heard, but like, if I could get Body Farm into that, like, those are the things that there are many, many opportunities. And there's the American film market where you can actually go there. And it's all a learning experience, and it's something that I'm just continuing to do. You know, with Decompose, it would be a new learning experience and opportunity.
Well, and something that's awesome that you talked about, you know, doing a podcast is you have everything you need for that already, correct? Yep. So you make a great podcast, because if you have all the great sound is key. If you have the great sound quality and get that good content, there's some funding that you can bring through that into your movies that will help you be able to, you know, you know, and I got to tell you, man, I like being able to talk to people who are passionate about things and are trying to do things. And
he just likes to talk.
Yeah, you know, I carry my own voice. But no, if I can help anyone in any type of way, I feel good about it. You know, it's crazy. I've always been that way. I get better, I don't know, acknowledgement from myself knowing that I help someone. And so again, you know, any way that we can help you out, if you got something coming out, or hell, if you used to want to come on here and say, hey, check out this idea, we'll put it out there. I mean, we make connections here and there. You know, you said you're a sci-fi guy. I might try to get a hold of another podcast called Phantom Galaxy that we go on. They're sci-fi and horror, movie, all kind of stuff like that to combined.
Yeah.
And
in fact, we're doing a show with them Tuesday.
Yeah. So, but I mean, yeah, I love the enthusiasm that you have for, you know, wanting to do something that I same thing with us when we did this podcast, man. I love it. And then it builds and builds and builds.
Yeah, it seems like you guys are really building a solid brand. In 2 years,
we're trying.
Yeah, and you know, for me, I want to I know it's cliche to say, but if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, and I do believe in that. I'm so happy with where I am in my life, as far as, you know, my work and my personal life. Everything has been really, really great, and I'm blessed for that. And I hope that I can just continue to build it as a person and as a filmmaker, and just continue to learn. Just seeing you guys now, I mean, one of the first things we're probably gonna do when I get off this is say, hey, what kind of microphones are you guys using? Because they're nice, you know.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of things.
Sure, SM58s.
All right, there we go. Perfect. So I have Sennheisers, so I'm kind of like, well, you gotta.
You know, it's funny. Playing in the band, I've got a Sennheiser mic, and I loved it for, like, you know, live on stage, you know, sounds great. But whenever we started putting, you know, podcast equipment together to do this, I was using that Sennheiser mic, and Ryan got the SM58, and we had another girl that used to come on the show with us quite a bit, and she got one. And I've noticed, in fact, there's my Sennheiser sitting right there. Yeah. That Sennheiser didn't sound as good as the SM58 for what we're doing here, you know. And basically, I'm just running it through a cheap Behringer board straight into my computer. You know,
there you go.
Pretty simple setup.
So,
you got don't you?
Do what?
You got to deal with that microphone company, don't you?
No, man. You know what's funny is the cool thing, and that's another great thing. Just if you're interested, you got questions, whatever, send us a message on Facebook if you ever have any questions about the podcast thing. The podcast world most people are super cool with helping you out and like giving you tips and pointers and bringing you on the show and letting you talk and promote your stuff.
When we first got started, it was funny. I reached out to there's a pretty big podcast out there called Hillbilly Horror Stories, and we listen to them all the time. And I reached out to Jerry Paul, he's the guy that runs that show, and I just said, hey, you know, would you ever be willing to have a conversation? I'd like to talk to you sometime. And I sent him a message through Facebook. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. And he didn't know me. He'd never even heard of me. And he said, you know, you want to do it through Facebook or you want to do it over the phone? And I'm like, over the phone would be fine if you can do that. And I sent him my phone number. He's like, all right, I'll call you in 10 minutes. Okay. You know, I was expecting to be on the phone with this guy for, 5 or 10 minutes. I spent an hour and a half on the phone with him. Nice. And he was telling me everything that we needed to do. He told me the microphones we needed to buy, the board that we should get, and just, I was like, this guy was a wealth of information, and a lot of the podcasts that we've talked to have been the same way. Hey, we all kind of look at it like a community. We're all here to help each other out.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, as I continue to move along with things, I probably will be reaching out to you guys to ask some questions in the same way.
Man, anytime.
The expert. So I'm, again, it's a constant learning experience. Keep on.
I'm kind of intrigued about the true crime thing because we talk about everything here. We talk about horror movies a lot. We talk about ghost stories, serial killers, cryptids. I mean, we get into a little bit of everything. If it's creepy or weird, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, there's definitely something in the city of Pittsburgh, and I'm not going to sit here and speculate right now about a serial killer that's doing all this, but it's not adding up. People don't just go and jump in the river when they're drunk and drowned. I'm sorry. There needs to be more more research done and more understanding of this, and it's a pattern. It seems like of a certain age range.
Mm-hmm.
Their vehicles are just left there with the key still in the ignition. I'm sorry, but I'm not buying into that. Whoops, when I was in my 20s and I would be drunk in the South Side, I didn't just go down to the river and say, I'm going to go check out the river. That's, a block and a half down there. It's not adding up. It's not
too drunk to walk that far. Damn it.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not buying into it. So there's that part of me that is, I want to ask questions and I want to get people thinking about that, but I also know that it's a very touchy subject because again, these people have families,
right?
You don't want to stir a pot that they don't want stirred.
Yeah, man. I will tell you, dude, I mean, you're direct, you got movies,
he knows more about this shit than we
do. Keep doing it. When it comes to the podcast thing, man, just do it. I haven't said this word. I haven't said this word yet, but I'm going to. I'm surprised I haven't. Just fucking do it.
Yeah.
I say that I'm surprised at myself because I'm usually the F word is I don't know. I use it as everything.
Yeah. But it's an everything word.
But just do it, man. And if you ever have any questions, don't be afraid. Hit us up anytime on our Facebook page or whatever. And who knows, we can exchange numbers sometime or something. Whatever you want to do, whatever you're comfortable with. But keep just push and do it, just like you did with the films, man. If you're passionate about it, just do it. Like I said, if you ain't doing nothing, then you can't, haters going to hate, ain'ters going to ain't.
Yeah. So, I mean, I hear you. And to answer your question, to drop the 4-letter word, I fucking will. And that's the one thing I've been saying to my girlfriend for a long time. Like, just take a chance. We're just going to take a chance, and that's, to me, I have to just keep thinking that. Just give it a shot. Just give it a chance. Just go for it, and I'm just going to continue to learn, and I'll definitely be tuning into your podcast more often now that I know about you guys.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.
And, with this podcast, I'll make sure and let people know about it and talk about it. And I truly appreciate, you guys just chatting with me. And it's been a breath of fresh air during a time right now that is, we just don't know,
Yeah.
We're still just like, come on, what are we
doing here?
Yeah, what are we going to turn this corner? But in the end, we can always sit here and bullshit and talk and go back and forth and learn something from each other. So
we always 100%, man. So
and even if you ever just want to talk, About anything, get a hold of us. Do me a favor though, whenever you get off of here, if you would, you've got our email address. Will you send me over like links to like your Facebook page, maybe the movie studio, the movie, of course. I mean, send us over the link so I can put them in the show notes. And
as soon as we hop off here, I'll send everything over. All the
and before we hop off of here, why don't you let everyone know where they can find you and everything like that?
Sure. So I got a whole bunch of social media handles here, but
go ahead.
My business is KVT Productions, and that's K as in kite, V as in Victor, T as in Tom Productions with an S. I've said that more times than I can count on the phone. At KVT Productions, but you can also check out our film, which is at Body Farm. So we have two different handles. One's Body Farm Movie, which is our Twitter handle. So that's at Body Farm Movie, and then our Facebook is at Body Farm the Movie. It's long story. We tried our best to try to get all of them.
Oh, we know how that goes.
So the website is bodyfarmmovie.com. Again, bodyfarmmovie.com, and you can check out the trailer there. There's a bunch of behind-the-scenes clips of seeing us shooting at the West Virginia State Pen, and all sorts of really cool pictures and stuff. All of our laurels from all the film festivals that we had a chance to be a part of and win some awards at. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm Brandon Keenan. I'm on Facebook. I think I'm on Instagram too. Well, Instagram's my business one. That's at KVT Productions. But you can reach me on Facebook. Feel free to reach out. Anybody that's an indie filmmaker, I'll be willing to talk with anyone. I mean, even if it's just conversation. I'm only as good as the people I surround myself with. I've said that so many times here. But the more I learn and the more I work with people, the better I can get and the better they can get. And as filmmakers, we're in this together. We're trying to make films. That's really what it boils down to me. So hopefully I can continue that career path and keep making films and keep talking to you guys. And
I'm sure you will, man.
Yeah, I'd love to come on again anytime. And I know my cast and crew, I'm sure a lot of them would be interested in chatting with you guys. You guys are great.
Awesome. Well, before we hit, when we hang up here, don't hang up yet. We'll end our show here. But yeah, guys, so that was a great conversation with Brandon Keenan. Like he said, he gave you all the stuff. Check him out. The movie's called Body Farm. Got to go check it out, guys. We love you as always. You guys are horror fans growing. We love it. Go check out our Facebook page. You guys know all that stuff. We do our live show and stuff like that. But more importantly, as always, until next time, keep it creepy.